Hello, happy Tuesday, everybody. We have an upper body strength and conditioning session today. So let's get you started. We're gonna get this warm up in. We do not need any equipment for our warm up, but for our strength exercises themselves, we're going to some stuff, including this here chair, as you see it. We are going to use it. Your bench, your ottoman, and of course I have an option if you do not have this. And tucked over here, in which you cannot see, are my 8-pound dumbbells and my loop bands. The other thing that you can incorporate today, if you have it, are your long anchor bands and or your TRXs. So let's get you started with this warm up. We're going to stick our arms out to the sides, palms facing down, standing up nice and tall, starting drawing these small circles with our shoulders, keeping them small, going through 10 in one direction, palms down. Let's do it. Let's get it moving. So we'll go 10 one way, and then we shall stop, and we'll go 10 the other way, keeping these circles small in both directions to start. Once you're finished 10 and 10, we are going to go that first direction again, but this time make those circles as big as they can go. Not worrying too much about what's happening with the palms, but trying to move your shoulders through that full circle, that full range of motion. We'll go through 10 backwards, and then we will go through 10 forwards, circling it out. Trying to get all the fluid released in our joints and our shoulders. It's going to help be stronger in there, as well as a lot safer. So let's get it moving. Once you're finished 10 and 10, we will swing out our arms over and under, keeping them straight. Crossing your hands, alternating which one goes up and down. We'll go through 20 of those ones. Total, 20 of them. Swing it out, and then you can come on down and join me on the floor in our all-four position for the next one. So we're hands and knees, shoulders are stacked on the wrists, hips are stacked on the knees. We're going to take one hand and bring it behind our head like so, driving this elbow down towards the top of that hand with an inhale. And then we shall exhale and open up, trying to follow our elbow with our eyes, with the goal of looking right above ourselves at the ceiling. And we'll close with that inhale. Exhale into that open, working through 10 reps on this side. And then we'll switch, and we'll do 10 on the other side. Now, these first few might be feeling a little bit tight from, sleeping all night. It is early in the morning, most likely when you're doing this, as well as maybe yesterday. Tighten us up a little bit. So as we go through these reps, hopefully we're feeling a little bit looser as we go through those 10. Towards that 10th one, maybe you're able to see that ceiling above yourself, not way over there. Okay, so we'll get 10 on this side, 10 on the other, and then do not go anywhere. We're going to stay down here in the same all-four position. And imagine that there is something between our shoulder blades. We're going to pull our shoulder blades together, and then we'll open them up and spread them apart, moving just through that upper back. 10 total, driving the blades together, apart, not bending the elbows. I know I'm wearing a hoodie, but we're trying to keep those arms as straight as possible. Let me see where I got this pop-up. There we go. Okay, so we'll go through 10 of those scapular retractions, and you're trying to pull them together, spread them apart, 10 of them, then you can stand on up to the top. Get on up here for the next one, which is going to be starting off standing up nice and tall, hip width apart in the feet, soft knees. We're going to drive our hips back behind us. We're in this very nice hip hinged position. We want to be up on this angle, not quite parallel with the floor, so we'll make sure we're up on this 45. Arms are going to extend down in front of us, palms facing each other. One of those arms is going to open up with the same idea as that one we did down on the floor, trying to see how far we can get open without any shifting in the hips and the legs. And we'll close, and we'll do the other side with an exhale, inhaling in, back to center. 10 total, 5 on each side. Seeing how we feel. This one you probably won't be able to see right above yourselves at that ceiling, as it is a bit more limited than the other one. But we will follow that hand with our eyeballs so that we are promoting that rotation that we're getting through that mid and upper back. So let's get it. All right, 5 on each side, 10 of those total. Once you're done those, we're once again going to swing out our arms over and under, counting 10 of these, just 10 only, I should say. get them moving. So we should be feeling, if I do say so myself, a little bit more warm in that upper body. We are gonna get you started with our first 2 exercises that will require our band. So I'm going to be using my glute bands put together to create one long band. So I'm gonna go like this, loop this guy through, and now I have a long band. If you don't have these loop bands, and or if you have an actual long band, it can be the looped one like this or the one with the handles. Bring it out. Okay, grab it. We are going to start you off with some band pull aparts before we go into our drum roll push-ups, because it's Tuesday. So what we do best on Tuesdays is push up. But we'll talk about those in a second. Before we get into those, we'll start with these band pulls, keeping our arms straight, holding that band a little bit wider than our shoulders, pulling across so that we stop before we hit our chest, and then we stop before we see this band start to go all loose, sweat noodle like this. So we'll get through 20 reps of these band pulls. For those of you who do not have a band, we're going into that same hinge back position. We'll rotate our thumbs up and work with this similar rear delt exercise, back of the shoulders, as that is what we are working in our band pulls. So let's do them. 20 of them. And that number 20 is for our first set only. We're going to go a little bit lower in the next few sets that we go through. But this first one, we're going to make sure we are nice and warm and activated in that upper back and the back of the shoulders as we go through 20 reps of these ones. Okay, so as you come to an end on 20, we will be completing 4 sets of the following with those band pull aparts in between each. We're talking push-ups, okay, because that's what we're doing today. We're going to start you guys off with a narrow grip push-up, which is one that we have been recently kind of throwing in here, incorporating it in. Oftentimes I give this to you as an option, but today it is not optional. Okay, we're all going to be working on that narrow grip push-up position, but we're only doing half of our reps in the narrow, and then we're going to do half of our reps in the normal. So we have 3 narrow push-ups, and then 3 normal stance push-ups. Then we will stand up and go into our set of the band pulls. Okay, so let's get down on the floor, get on down here, come on down and join me in your push-up position. Again, we want to be in that narrow position. So we have the bra line, that's where our hands need to be no matter what stance we are doing. For the narrow, we want to tuck in the arms so they're almost parallel with the body, and your hands are close but not underneath you and your torso. So we want to be right kind of inward underneath that shoulder. So find that positioning. We're going to pop up into this full push-up position, lowering ourselves down, and then we will push ourselves up. And if you are somebody who really struggles to get these narrow ones in, you can do them a couple of ways. Way number 1 is strictly doing the knee push-ups, okay? Which is what I would suggest if you cannot even get 1 of these, all right? If you can do 1, maybe 2, maybe they're not the prettiest. Okay, they're a little bit wormy. What I want you to work on is you're lowering, using the knees on the way up, and then resetting onto the toes for that lowering phase. So we're doing 3. Once you're finished 3, you can stay in this plank position. We're going to widen up our hands and go right into those normal ones. Same rules apply, okay? So we'll try to see, of course, as we always do, if we can get full body push-ups. But if we can't, because, you know, those narrow ones, they are no joke, we will do those a couple of if we to get even 1, okay? So that's our first set. Woo. So that's 6 total. 3 of the narrow, 3 of the wide, or 3 of the normal, I should say. And then we shall stand up and get that band again and go through 10 reps of our band pull-aparts. So you can grab onto your band. We'll work with that pull-apart. 10 reps total, trying to keep the arms straight, shoulders relaxed. Same feeling is happening in our shoulder blades. Excuse me, as we practiced in that warm-up, we're trying to pull those shoulders together, bring them together behind our ears, rather than just kind of pull it back. Okay, we want to be very active in that upper back every single rep. So let's get going on that set. 10 of them only, which is a nice break after doing 20 in the warm-up. All right, so once we're finished, we are indeed going to take some rest. We have 30 to 45 seconds right now. We'll keep it under a minute so we can get through this in an effective manner. But we will take some time before we go into our next set. And you're probably feeling like you need the rest, okay? Because again, those narrow grip right into our normal grip push-ups, they are a lot harder than if I just asked you to do our normal push-ups. Mostly because we simply just do not do them that often, okay? The only reason why some people find narrow push-ups easier than normal is because that's all they do and that's all they practice, okay? But it's not, most of us are kicking it out here, which is why this is feeling so challenging, all right? Or it will as you start your next set, because that's what's up right now, all right? So let's get down there and get into our second round of our push-ups, all right? So 3 of the narrow, 3 of the normal. Again, some of us might want to do knee push-ups for the narrow, and then maybe you're able to go into the full body ones for the normal, okay? Really depends on you. What's going on, how you feeling today. Every day is different. Remember that your breath is your power, especially on these push-ups. Literally, we're pushing, we're exhaling as we push up, pushing ourselves off the floor with that exhale. It really helps, okay? Especially when you are asked to do something like this. So we'll get through the second set, the three, and then we will get right back up into our second set of our 10 band pull-aparts. All right, let's get it. So we'll work with these ones nice and slow, controlled, we're not rushing. Again, we want to make sure that band stays tight, no loose band. And we'll try our best to not lose our neck. We want to relax our shoulders as we go through those 10. And these feel kind of easy, right, after doing those push-ups. Okay, but you are going to have to do 2 more rounds. So once again, we're going to take some rest. Woo! If you want to swing out your arms, circle out your shoulders, or you can just do nothing, okay? It doesn't really matter what you do. All we need to do right now is rest by not rushing into our third set, all right? So take some deep breaths. And we have 2 more rounds. Let's do it. Okay, so again, third set. Body's starting to kind of realize what's going on, but we're also getting more tired as we go through these rounds, okay? So that's why we have this rest bout right here, because if we were to just go back to back between these 2, those push-ups would get really ugly really quick, very wormy, not very strong, okay? So a couple more deep breaths, and then we will get going on our third set. Okay, back to our narrows. Again, maybe you want to do your narrows on the knees. If we are on the knees, we want to make sure those hips are not shooting up into the air. It's important that we're in that plank position. So what I would suggest you do is start in that plank and then just drop your knees down so you have that same feeling in your core. And that way you don't accidentally end up like kind of doing something like this with your butt shooting up into the air. And that's not going to give you any sort of benefit for your core and for that plank position, which is oftentimes like the hardest part of the push-up, right? Is having to maintain that plank as we go through a push-up, which is not easy to begin with. Okay, neither is the plank. We're combining the 2. So if you feel like you're kind of doing the worm, and when I say that, you can probably imagine what I'm talking about, but I'll show you. We can go down, and then we kind of do this, and then the hips sort of follow, or they go down like this, okay? That means that we are disconnecting our core. Our core is not doing anything at all, okay? It's actually a little bit at risk, your lower back is, for injury because we're doing that sort of unconnected thing, that little back bend situation. So you want to lock that in, brace your core. You can even squeeze your butt like hinges. And that is going to help you get stronger and make your push-ups less wormy, okay? Because we don't want that going on there. And sometimes, again, we just need a reminder. We just need to kind of think about it a little bit more. Or maybe you need to practice your knee technique before you go up into that full body one. And that's also the really nice part about that combination push-up where we lower ourselves down and then we use the knees on the way up to push ourselves up, is that it really does expose ourselves to having to kind of control that lowering phase, and it helps us to get stronger at push-ups faster, which is the goal. All right, so last set, you probably already started. Let's do it. Get her done. Okay, we have about 2 minutes until we should be starting part number 2 here of our strength. Okay, so we'll get this final set of these push-ups, 3 and 3, and then we'll stand her up and finish off with 10 reps of those band pull-up parts. And that's going to conclude our first part. Woohoo! Okay, so we'll get these done. Band pull-up parts. Very nice. Very nice. And unfortunately, you guys, I'd like to kind of give you a little pre-warning, get you mentally prepared. This is not the only set of push-ups. We do have a little sneaky addition of push-ups in the last strength part that we are going to do. Of course, we'll talk about it when we get there. But let's finish up this set here. Once you are finished, you can grab some water. Okay, we are going to move on to the next part that is going to require that here chair, because we are going to be doing some dips, okay, for the triceps, a little bit of work in the chest muscles as well. All right, so as we finish up those band pulls, woo, hopefully you feel good, although probably don't feel the strongest in those narrows, but that's why we're doing them, okay? That's why we are here, kind of forcing you into doing them, is so that we can get you feeling a little bit better in them, stronger. All right, so we are moving on to part 2, which is going to start off on this here chair. We're going to be working with a dip off of this chair. Again, you can use a bench. You can use pretty much anything stable that is not too squishy. This chair is quite forgiving because the edge of the chair is pretty hard, but I wouldn't want to do this like on the couch as there's a lot of squish. Okay, so I'll give you an example like right here. So you can see the middle of this chair is it's got a lot of give to it, and so if I'm doing my dips on something like that, I'm going to be bending my wrist. My wrist is going to really go into this sort of unwanted position here. It's going to be painful, and there's nothing that you can do to control that on something that's really squishy. Okay, so we have options. If you don't have a chair or a bench, something that's sort of on the harder side towards the end here, then I will give you guys your options after I talk about these dips, okay, which we are doing, lowering ourselves down to 90 degrees, pushing ourselves up. Straight equals harder, bent equals easier, and anywhere in between, you can find your nice sweet spot. 15 reps, my friends, is the number to be on this one. So if you're working with the chair, the bench, dip, start your first set. If you do not have this, what you can do instead is our wall tricep extension. So this one, you need a wall, get something stable. We go down into the forearms, we're up on our toes, push up onto the hands. Okay, the lower the arms, the further back the feet, the harder. Okay, the higher the hands, the closer the feet, the easier. So same rules apply as those dips. Tiny little changes, okay, tiny little steps away from the wall, away from the chair, make a huge difference, okay? 15 of them. Let's get it. First set. Okay, so we're going to work with those ones. With this one, we have a row variation, a double arm rotational row. So I'm going to be working with my dumbbells. This is the time to shine if you have a TRX, if you would like to use it. And I will show you guys the banded options after we go through this. We're going to start off standing hip width apart, soft knees, pushing the hips back. So we're in that same hip hinge position we practiced in the warm-up. Palms face the legs, okay? Palms face the top of the knees. And then we're going to row and rotate so the palms face the ribs into this sort of neutral grip position. And then we unrotate, unrow, and then we row and pull it in. And we're doing the same amount of reps, 15 reps total. Trying to pull our shoulder blades together, squeeze our back. And that is the one that finally made me warm enough to take off this hoodie because it was freezing cold this morning. All right, so we'll let you guys get through your first set of these rotational rows. Okay, so again, palms facing down. We row it in and rotate so that the palms end up facing the ribs. Okay, so we'll get through 15 of those guys there. If you are using a TRX, same rules apply. We are rotating with that TRX. If you're using your anchor band, okay, or if you have nowhere to anchor it, we can hold the band, and then we'll just pull the band apart and work with that row like this. And because we're having to pull, we get a little bit more work, similar to the work we get in that rotation that we are doing if we are working with dumbbells. Okay, so 15 of them. Now, no rest. Okay, we're going back to back between these two, back into those dips, taking no time in between, maybe just a quick sip of H2O, okay, but no prescribed rest. We will try our best to go right into our second set of those dips, okay, for the triceps. Now, recently we've been talking a lot about these, about the safety precautions around dips, all right? I just mentioned the wrists, but the other thing I need to mention is the shoulders, okay, because there's a very simple way that you can sort of accidentally maybe end up sort of hurting yourself over time if you do this all the time, sort of every time you dip, you let this happen. So what we need to do is make sure that we are retracting our shoulders the entire set of those dips, okay? Because if our shoulders are rounded forward like this, we sort of put ourselves into this position. First of all, it doesn't look good, okay? Second of all, it doesn't feel good. Third of all, it is putting your shoulder in a place where it's not meant to be. We're not meant to be rounded forward. And now we're going through the dip, which is putting all these muscles to work. So we're actually, in time, going to end up probably hurting ourselves if we have this rolled forward shoulder situation. So to fix this, all we have to do is, before we even start our set, sitting here, under your legs, thinking about our set, we pull our shoulder blades together, okay? So what we want to do is squeeze those shoulders back and keep them back there like this, rather than let them roll forward. And you can see the difference, and I'm not going to put weight on, so it actually kind of hurts. And if you're feeling pain in your shoulders, this might be something that you are accidentally doing, the rounding, okay? So let's try to bring our chest up and keep it up the entire 15 dips, all right? Second set, let's go, doing it. Now, again, we're doing 4 rounds total. So we're going to get through this one, get those rows, and then we have 2 more sets to go, excuse me, of these 2. Okay. Very nice. So get those dips in. Get into those rows. Okay, we know, again, that upper back action is very important when we're rowing, all right? We don't want to be pulling in and sort of leaving those shoulders behind like this. Again, it's very important that we pull those shoulders back behind the ears, and we're, again, trying to be active in our upper back and not just, move those weights around. We want to be intentional. This is a back exercise, so we should feel it in these muscles, the ones that run down the sides of our back, but again, especially kind of sort of in the mid-back between our shoulder blades, because you're thinking about it, okay? Because we're driving them together every rep, and you do 15, so lots of chances to make that happen. So we have 2 more sets to go on these. Okay, so we'll get this through the second set, and then we will try our very best to get into our third one. Although, again, we are back to this whole little to no rest thing, this theme. We had it going on last day on our leg day, and we're here again on this superset. Okay, again, trying to go between these 2. We're doing this for a reason. We're trying to limit the rest, get up into those high rep ranges, which means they're going to feel like these sets are getting progressively harder. You feel like your body's getting heavier, those weights are getting heavier, and that is because we are limiting our rest. Okay, so that's why it's so important that you do that and that you go back to back, all right, between these 2. 15 and 15. All right, so let's start our third set if you have not already, because we have just about 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes to finish it up, to get her done. We have one more part to the strength, and then it is conditioning time. The time to get us all hot and heavy, release all those endorphins, make us feel so good for the rest of the day. Okay, so let's get through this set with strength, and we'll talk about all of that stuff. Okay, so set number 3, get into down the dips. Okay, 15. Again, sometimes I like to break up my sets of 15, especially when we're doing 2 exercises with 15 reps. Sometimes I like to count like 3 sets of 5, or up to 10 and then 5. And sometimes that just makes it a little bit less tedious than counting up to 15 when we're doing it 4 times. All right. We like to get it. So we'll really try to challenge ourselves here, maybe getting our legs a bit more straight than we have ever had them for these 15 reps. Okay, so maybe taking a couple more steps away, and we need to be making ourselves uncomfortable. Okay, and I always remind you guys of that, but I'll remind you again that these 15 reps should not be easy. Okay, we shouldn't be getting to the end of the 15 and be like, oh yeah, I can keep going. Okay, we want to be like done, like standing up, like putting the weights down, like done at that 15th rep. Okay, so if that's not the way that you feel or the way that you were feeling on this third set, then you have one more chance. Okay, one more set, one more opportunity to really get that feeling going. Okay, that uncomfortable, that I don't think I can do this, but you do it anyways feeling. Okay, so if you need to make it harder, you know what to do on the dips. There's really not much else to do. Straighten the legs. Okay, again, last day I talked about the foot elevation, finding something to elevate your feet. Because we're doing such a high rep range though, I didn't really mention it. Next day when we do a lower rep range, we might talk about it more again. But the rows, that's the one that you can really make more challenging by pausing your reps. Okay, so as we go through the set, those rotational rows, we can hold in here for 1, 2, even 3 seconds every single rep. Ooh, and by the end of that set, by the end of dog hair plump, by the end of the 15, you will again feel like you really need to put those weights down, okay, or the TRX or whatever you're using, and that's what we're going for. All right, so final set. Let's get it done. Less than a minute to finish her up, because it is that time of the class where we should be pretty much starting our next part. So as you do trickle to an end here, as we are finishing up, we need all this stuff, these things still. So don't put anything away yet. We'll be using this chair. If you have your TRX set up, okay, whatever it is, keep it out because we're gonna need it. As you do finish up your final set of those rows, you can grab some water, all right? And we are going to move on to our final part, which is a tricep, circuit style tricep. So we have 3 exercises, all strength-based exercises that we are going to do back to back to back, taking a little rest, 30 to 45 seconds in one place, and that is at the end, once we're done all 3 of these movements, okay? So let's start off with this first one, which is going to be a 1-arm wide grip row. So I'm going to be using these dumbbells. Of course, I will give you the options if you have bands instead of dumbbells, but we are ideally going to use this chair to elevate our knee and our hand, and then we're going to work with a wide grip 1-arm row, holding a dumbbell or maybe an anchored band in our hands. TRXs, you don't need the chair. Okay, you're just going to hold that TRX and work with that 1-arm row, just standing like that. Let's do this. Okay, let's start our first set. So we want to set up here, holding on to a weight. If you want to start off with 1, maybe eventually using 2, but because we're going into this wide grip position, you might find that one dumbbell is going to be adequate, okay? Compared to when we pull in a bit more narrow, it's much stronger in there than it is out here. And so you might need to go a little bit lighter on this one. We have a range here today. You're doing 12 to 15. So we can go up to 12 and stop, or we can push for those extra 3 reps. But keep in mind that whatever you do on this first side, we need it on the other side, okay? So let's start our first set. Wide grip, okay? So we're pulling in, and we're trying to send that arm out, not quite up in this T position here. We want to be in an A position, but make sure that our wrist and our hand is pulled out wide and not sort of sinking in like this, okay? So we want to be out here, pulling in and around. Same rules apply with that shoulder. Pull it back behind the ear, okay? 12 to 15. I would highly prefer a challenging 12 over a sort of not so challenging 15. So if you have the weights, if you have options in terms of your dumbbells, or if you want to maybe add in again a couple of those pauses to really make that 12 feel challenging, we shouldn't be thinking that we can get more, okay? So that's our first one. Let's get it. Second one is about the triceps. Again, we're going into a bent over tricep kickback. So we're working with dumbbells. We're going to grab onto these guys standing up nice and tall. Hip width, soft knees, hinging the hips back. And then we're going to pull in both of our arms so that they're here, but not tucked and hugging onto the body. And then we are going to kick both arms back, going through 12 to 15, same range, okay? So again, we can stop at 12, or we can go up to 15. Now, for some of us, maybe our dumbbells are too heavy, maybe they're too light. Couple other ways that we can do this. We can do our lying tricep extension when we lie down on our back, hold those weights up, drop them down, and then push them up. Or you can do this with a band instead of a dumbbells, and we can hold the band 1 or 2 here, and then work with a kickback, doing them like this. Okay, I'm counting out again, 12 to 15. All right, so this is our second one. Let's get it done. Final one, and I gave you a little teaser on this one earlier, is going to be a variation of a push-up. Welcome back to the push-up. So we're doing a Superman to push-up, going down onto the floor. Just going to move this guy out a little bit more space. Laying down on our tummies, all the way down like so. We're going to extend our arms and our legs out. The feet are going to stay down, but our toes are gripped in because they're ready to go for the push-up, because we know that the push-up is happening here. So arms out, we're going to lift up those arms, bring them in to that push-up position, push ourselves up off the floor, come back down, chest first, and then we reach out, and that's 1. And then push up, and that's 2, okay? You're doing 10 of these total. So we reach, the higher you can reach the arms, the more you're going to feel in that upper back. And then again, we want to make sure that we're pushing up our entire body as straight as we can, trying to limit that worm situation that I talked about a lot in the first part in those push-ups. So same thing here. If you cannot quite get your full body moving in one off the floor, use your knees. Think about that strong core position. Knees, pop up off the knees, and then we'll lower ourselves down so that we can really challenge that lowering phase of the push-up. So once you're done 10, which you're probably still sit on your chair. Okay, we have about 30 to 45 seconds of rest, where all we are doing is resting. Okay, everything in our upper body, because these 3 movements really work pretty much everything in our upper body. Okay, so we're gonna give ourselves this time to rest. We're gonna grab some water before we go into 3 more sets. Okay, so we're back to the first one. You guys are working through 3 more rounds of this. Back to that 1 arm wide grip row. Now, those of you who don't have the chair or the bench, if you're working with dumbbells or the band, would prefer you to have that same support for your core and your lower back that we're getting on that chair. So a couple options. You can do your hand on the knee like this, and then work with that sort of wide grip row. I just did the rotation by accident. There we go, okay, like this. Or you can find something to put your hand on, like a wall or a chair, something like that, stable, and you can work with the support of the wall. Again, that, compared to this, if I just have my hand here or here, it's going to support everything through here, because we're not trying to work your ab muscles directly. We're not trying to work your low back. We're trying to work the back of your shoulders and the upper back, which is why we are supporting that, sort of taking that out of the picture. Okay, so we'll get moving on our second set in 12 to 15. Seeing if we can make 12 feel so challenging that we do not want to do 15. Okay, we'll do that on both sides. Even if one side feels like so strong compared to the other side, we are still going to keep it even, okay? Which is where I will talk again about starting with your less strong or weaker side. You know you have it. Most of us do. Probably all of us have a stronger and a weaker side, and that's completely normal, you guys, okay? But that being said, we can actually make that imbalance worse if we're not conscious of it, if we don't think about it when we're doing, especially single-sided exercises, okay? Because, for example, my right side on my upper body is way stronger than my left. I am right-handed. So on the right side, I might be able to get 15, okay? And it might even feel like too easy. And then I get to the left and like I can barely get 12. So rather than doing that, because obviously my right side is going to just constantly get more and more attention and work, I will start with my left, okay? And I will not do any more on my right than I can do on my left. And that is how we are going to even out and not promote the imbalance that we all have. Okay, it's not a bad thing, but it could become a bad thing if you are not aware of it. I always think about, I had this one client when I first started getting into personal training, and she was a waitress. And so she would always hold her tray with all of her things on one side. And I remember watching her do the assisted pull-up machine in the gym. This was back at the one at McDonald's there. And she would pull herself up, and literally, you guys, like one side of her back was like, well, bam, like you could see all the muscles and all the definition. The other side was like she had never lifted anything with it. And so that always comes into my mind when I think about a muscle imbalance. And if you have, a job or a situation in life that you're always using one side, it's going to be worse than others. But again, the more aware that you can be, the better, okay? So we'll take that into this next set, which you've already probably started as I'm talking away here, distracting you. So we have 4 rounds total and about 5 minutes to get through our last 2 sets, okay? You're probably on your second set of these 3. And if you need a reminder on what the heck you're doing, again, we have those rows. And then the next one is our triceps. Okay, we're trying to do that kickback. It's important that this upper part of our arm does not move. Just the lower part is kicking up and back. Strictly the triceps, okay, for the arms. And then that last one is going to be that push-up to Superman combination, where we're doing only 10 reps total, which I know feels like a lot because we've already done so many push-ups. But if you think about it, in theory, the reason why we have these push-ups here is because we actually didn't do that many at the beginning compared to how many we normally do, because we were kind of working with a lower amount of reps. So there's my me convincing you. You got this. Okay, we're gonna get this done. You have 2 more sets. Take the rest. Water. We'll get going on our 3rd one. Okay, back to our 1-arm rows, the wide grips. We want to make sure to send that elbow out there, and the wide grip compared to the narrow, again, feels harder, and that's because we're tapping into smaller and weaker muscles than if our arm was tucked in like this. When we do that neutral or normal grip row, we're focusing really only on this part of our back here, but when we send that arm out wide, be able to see it here kind of, we're tapping into the back of the shoulder, the rear delt, which is a small muscle compared to this big old back muscle right here, okay? So that's why maybe you're not using as much weight and you're still feeling like it's really challenging, and that's why, okay? So we have 2 more rounds, third set. Let's do it. My brother's truck is so loud, he's got like a diesel in it. He warms it up for so long. Thankfully, I don't think you guys can hear it. I'm always working with our noises over here. Okay, so third round, let's get it done. Okay, we have 1 more after this one, and then we're gonna get hot and heavy for our conditioning work, which is quite standard 16-minute circuit that we are going to go through today. That will bring us to the end of the day. It's actually 15 minutes, so yay. All right. Excuse me. So while you finish that up, I am going to set our timer. Make sure our timer is set for our final part. Why is it saying 1 minute and 11 seconds? There we go. Okay, so take the rest. Again, once you're finished the push-up Superman combination, we'll take some rest. All right, and you probably feel like you need it. Probably don't need to remind you. And then we have our final and last set. And where are we? 15. Perfect. Great. All right, my friends, let's get this done. Okay, final set. We will think about starting pretty quick here because you have about 1, maybe 2 minutes to finish this part up before we really need to start our final part, our conditioning, our cardio. Okay, so last set. Okay, this is it. Maybe we can push up that higher rep range, that 15 reps, sticking with the same weight or same technique, whatever you were doing on those past 3 sets. Try to do it again, but maybe just adding those extra last 3 reps. See how we feel. Maybe if they're not the most pretty, that's okay. Let's get them in. Okay, so we are about 1 minute from starting our final part because it takes us 15 exactly to get through. And so we need to ensure that we have enough time to get through it. Yes. Okay. So we'll give you about 1 minute. As you come to an end, we do not need any equipment. Okay. So for this last part, this is a body weight conditioning circuit. So we're going to go ahead and move our dumbbells out of the way. We'll move our bands out of the way, as well as that chair. We don't need it, so we'll get it out of the way so we have more space. But we do need our mat, maybe, for some reference points. And the best piece of equipment there is here, our body. Okay, if you're not wearing shoes, you are going to be joining me on the high impact jumping stuff. Then I would suggest to put them on, as they do give you that support for your ankles and your knees and your hips, which your body will appreciate over not wearing them. So for this last part here, we're going to start talking about it because we have to start relatively quick here within the next about 1 minute so that we have enough time within our 60 minutes together to get through it. So first set, we are doing 3 sets total. We're working with 4 exercises, 60 seconds on, no rest in between them. So we're going back to back between these 4 movements, only taking rest when we're done all 4. That last minute of that first round is going to be a rest minute, okay? So we have 4 different exercises, 1 minute on each. followed by 1 minute of rest, which means our round takes us 5 minutes, and which means we're doing 3 of them, okay? So that's why we have our 15 minutes, which means we gotta start soon. So let's talk about these exercises, okay? First one's going to be our invisible ball slant. So that's the one where we get into a squat stance. We hold this air ball in our hands and we slam it down, exhaling, trying to move quickly. That's going to be us for the first minute, okay? Second minute is going to be a jumping jack, all right, which is very standard, very basic. We're gonna talk about some ways to kind of spice them up. Okay, I'll also give you the low impact versions as we go through them. Third one is going to be our lunge jumps, where we go forward, backward, and then we switch, all right? So we'll again talk about these ones, how to take the jump out of them. Final one is a butt kick jog, or we have other options. And to make it a bit more challenging, which I'll talk about when we get there. So I told you a lot. Okay, we have to start. Invisible ball slams, starting in 5 seconds. Get ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. That was a very subtle beat, but it was there. And we are starting. Okay, so invisible ball slams. Try to stand up tall, pull our belly button in, exhaling, being powerful, explosive on the way down, a little bit more controlled on the way up, inhaling, and then again, we use that breath. It's your power. It's gonna help you slam that air down harder on the floor. With this one, and we are going to be doing it 2 more sets, all these ones. So do pace yourself here. This first round is where you really kind of find your pace. We have 20 seconds left. And this one is, I mean, it is challenging, don't get me wrong, but you do really have to push yourself. You really have to be powerful, explosive. And that is something that you have to do. Unfortunately, I cannot do that for you or help you with it. Just tell you to do it. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and jumping jacks is next. And again, we're starting right away, my friends, no rest in between. So we're working with these ones. If you're low impact, this is you, okay? And if you want, you can switch it up, do a seal jack instead with arms coming across like this, okay? Or you can do a combination of both. Kind of switch it up, get that brain moving, as sometimes having to think about it, having to, again, tap into that coordination, controlling your arms and your feet, it kind of distracts us a little bit, which you might need at this time in your life to get through the next 25 seconds of our jumping jacks, okay? So let's work it. Finishing first set, strongest set. We're fresh, although we did all that strength stuff, all those push-ups, okay? But we are ready to go here. This first set's gonna help, get the heart rate going again. 3, 2, 1, and into those lunges. So we step forward, and then we step backward, and then we switch, and then we step forward, and then backward. And if you're low impact, you just switch without the jump, okay? Just switch your legs. No jumping involved. All right. Woo! So again, we have to kind of think this one through a little bit. We're switching at the back only. So we want to do that forward lunge, push ourselves right into that back lunge, and then squeeze. A little bit of balance involved here as well. 20 seconds left, my friends. Let's get it in. These jumping ones always make the hair fall out. No, I'm not alone. 10 seconds left. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, and right into our last one. So we're working with a butt kick jog. Now with this one, you can stay in one place. You can travel sideways. Okay, you can go forward and backward. You can really do whatever you want. Sub these for high knees. Okay, something like this, rather than kicking yourself in the butt. For my low impact peeps, we're working with an in-place butt kick jog. Okay, trying to move the arms, trying to move the legs, kicking yourself in the butt, and then you can always, again, sub in for the sort of march in place, as it might be getting your heart rate up a little bit more. Maybe a bit harder for you, which you might want. Maybe not though. 15 seconds. Okay, once we're finished this, we have 1 full minute of rest. Remember that? Now you do. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and resting. So we have this next minute right now to simply just rest, okay, which I would suggest you walk around your room, the space that you have, the length of your mat. You take some deep breaths. Try to calm yourself down a little bit, as you're probably not feeling very calm right now. But we do want to kind of bring it down to more of a normal level. We have 2 more sets to go through, okay? 2 more rounds. Woo! So that first one, again, you really kind of figured out your pace. You figured out how to do these ones overall. Your body knows what's up now. So on these next 2, we're really going to work on pushing ourselves, okay? The next one and the last one, same exact thing, starting in just over 10 seconds. So get yourself ready. Invisible ball slams. Get ready, 5 seconds, my friends. Grab that ball, or that invisible ball, that air, and let's go, okay? So again, we're trying to exhale, be powerful on the way down, trying to sink our hips down, but we don't necessarily need to sit too low into the squat. We just want to make sure to use our legs to help get that momentum going. Slam that air down a little bit stronger. And plug us in. Have a sip of water. Okay, 25 seconds left. We got this. Ball slamming that air. I know this one can feel a little bit silly sometimes, but it's super effective. If you channel your ball slamming energy that you know, you've probably done it before, maybe even with me in person. 5 more seconds here, give you 2 more strong ones. Exhale and slam it. And time into our jumping jacks. Let's go. Okay, starting that second set of our jacks. Getting it in, getting it in. Okay, staying light on our feet. Trying to make no noise. Very light. Again, I'm not doing that for the sake of the people in the house, the people downstairs. We're doing that for our body. The softer we can be on the landing, the less impact that we make, the more happy that your joints are going to be, okay? Rather than sort of, slamming down every time, jolting down. We want to be soft, as graceful as possible to do these jumping jacks. A little easier said than done. All right, 10 seconds left, my friends. Let's roll. Second last time, though. You only have to do 1 more. Not too bad, right? It's 3. All right. Lunges. Let's go. Okay, we go forward, and then we go backward, and then we switch. Let's do it on our second last set. Come on. So we'll pace ourselves. If you don't jump, we're switching those legs. You have to ensure that you are lunging though. Okay, so when you switch, we want to come all the way up and then go back down into that lunge so that you don't end up sort of skipping or missing that second back lunge there. 25 seconds left. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Strong finish. Okay, we have the butt kick jog after this. 1 minute rest. Okay, last one. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and the butt kick jog. Let's go. Okay, again, trying to connect your opposite arm, opposite leg to bend at the same time as the opposites. Let's go. Okay, if that really messes you up, you can just keep the arms in front of you, but keep in mind that connection is always a good thing to practice. I know I'm always talking about the coordination, and that's not just because, I like it. In fact, I don't really like it. It's hard, but it does connect our brain to our body, which is an important thing to do for the rest of our lives, okay? Because we want to be doing this. I always say this. We want to be here doing this for as long as possible, and that will help us. Okay? Using our brains in here. 15 seconds left. Let's go. The brain is a muscle, not technically, but it can be trained, okay? Which is what we need to do here. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Nice work, my friends. Okay, so we have one more set. But before we do that, we are going to take this rest here. This 45 seconds of rest that you have right now. You just rest. Okay, and then we have our final set. 4 movements. Going to take us to the finish line of the class. We have a little bit of stretching to do, but it is all independent. I'm going to show them to you. Leave you guys to do them on your own time. Okay, but for the next 30 seconds, all we are doing is resting and breathing, grabbing water, all of those things. Okay, so deep breaths, my friends. 10 seconds left. Woo! We're gonna get you started on our final set. So get ready, because we're starting in 3, 2, grab that ball, and let's go. Okay, final set. Trying to exhale, be a bit more powerful on the way down. Be intentional. Everything is happening for a reason. We're not just like flailing around, kind of going up and down like this, okay? Arms, legs, everything, your breath, it's all being done on purpose because you're making it happen and you're trying to be powerful, okay? 35 seconds left. How many can you get? And not those little wimpy ones, okay? I want strong ones, powerful ones, fast, but more controlled than anything. 20 seconds left. You got this. Yes, they're harder like that, okay? Again, we're doing them with a purpose. We are here to get this work in together. So 10 more seconds. I want you to get 5 more. Let's go. Okay, you have to push yourself. It's not going to be easy. Maybe you can get a couple more, okay, but you got to move fast. 3, 2, 1, and jumping jacks. Let's go. Okay, on to our, whatever ones you're doing. Then maybe you're doing that combination of them both. But this is it for the jumping jacks for today, for the week. Woo! So let's do them. Okay, so pace yourself. Jumping jacks, they can be pretty easy, right? But they shouldn't be, all right? Because again, you're moving your feet faster than you want to, which means your arms have to move faster. Then you probably want to. 20 seconds left. We're looking for that extremely uncomfortable feeling, and it's a little bit different than the strength feeling, okay? This is the one that's kind of in your heart and your lungs. You can work through this, and that's how you're going to get stronger, fitter. It's by pushing that top end, getting your heart rate up higher. 3, 2, 1, and the lunges. Let's go. Okay, the forward and the backward, and the switch. Okay, these ones, I mean, of course, you have to think about moving quickly and all that, but I feel like anytime the legs are involved, anytime a lunge is involved, things just feel hard. And you don't really have to try as hard as maybe the jumping jacks, the ball slams. Okay, so 30 seconds left, and we'll try to get down to 90 degrees between every lunge, making sure we're getting all the way down here. Woo! A little bit of balance. 20 seconds left right here. Okay, one more after this, and we are done for the day. 10 seconds. Okay, one more on each side. Back, forth, switch, forth, back, switch. 3, 2, 1, time. All right, last one, the butt kick jog. You have started it because you knew it was coming, because it's your last one. So let's get moving on it. Finishing just as strong as we started, my friends. Remember how you felt in that first round? That ambitious round that you did the first set, that you were, so strong. And that's what I want right now. Okay, I want you to do that, maybe even add more. So we have 35 seconds left. I want you to maintain what you're doing right now. Do not slow down. Do not stop. The only thing that we're going to do is maybe add a little bit more for the last 15 seconds. Okay, we're not quite yet, so just hold this right here. I want all of you, no matter what you're doing, high impact, low impact, butt kick jog, knees, let's go. 15 seconds, okay, crank it up. I want you going faster, when your arm faster, tapping into that control, woo, but also that uncomfortable. I need to stop feeling, and you can in 3, 2, and time. Woo! All right, my friends, very nice work. So what we're going to do right now, I have our timer set for 2 minutes, which is our rest time, okay? Because you need that right now. You just did that crazy conditioning circuit, and you're probably feeling very hot and heavy, like it's going like crazy. So we're gonna calm you down by moving around the space that you have and taking those nice deep belly breaths, okay? Not those quick shallow breaths into our chest, but actually try to get that air in there. The more oxygen you can get in right now, the better that you are going to feel faster, which is the whole goal here. You want to be able to recover quicker in time, okay? So take those breaths, grab some water. I'm going to talk about these stretches because, again, I'm leaving you with them today. First, most important thing we need to stretch is our chest and shoulders. So if you're short on time today, you can just reach behind your back because we are going quite over time. You can reach behind your back and just pull in like this and hold this here as you're still sort of cooling down, okay? But if you have time, if you want to make another 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to yourself to stretch, then you can take a couple more breaths, maybe even a minute right now to rest. And then you can find yourself a door frame or a wall and do this stretch here for your chest and shoulders. So again, we can do one side at a time, or to save ourselves some time, we can just do both, door frame, corner, something like that, holding it for 1 minute, okay? Very important to do that one. Also important to do the second one. You're gonna recognize it because we do it almost every day. We train all these back muscles, is this one. So I'm gonna hold on one arm, rock my hips back, get that nice opening stretch through my back. We'll hold one side for 60 seconds, the other side for 60 seconds. Okay, again, if you're short on time, you could do both, but you get a nice deep stretch by doing one side at a time. Okay, you can use anything stable from your bookcase to your couch to your TRX. You can even hold and stretch out with what you guys can with me. Okay, thank you so much for another awesome upper body strength and conditioning session. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a full body conditioning workout. A little bit of balance stuff to start, as we have been kind of off the balance, but we'll talk all about that tomorrow, because that's what's up tomorrow. So have a great day, my friends. And of course, if you're watching the replay on this one, you can drop a comment so that, no, you were here and you did it. And I can yay from over here for you. Okay, I will see you guys soon, and have a good day.